things in the closet. They say I don't exist. They just don't see me like you do. Think we can be best friends. Everyone else, they all came and went. But you and me know this ain't pretend. They won't believe, so just take my hand, and I'll show you to your end.
Hi, welcome to another indie interview. I know it hasn't been that long since the last one, but as always, I am your host, Michael of Grey Works, the creator of Myths of Manhattan and Howling Hoods and other comic stuff. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, Kyla of Skelly Animation. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. How you doing? My name's Kayla. I'm the creator of Skelly, and I'm glad to be here. Excited.
Yeah. How's your day going?
It's going well. It's going well. You know, definitely ready for the nighttime so I can lay in bed. That's all I want to do. I'm sleepy all the time. How's your day?
Pretty good. Had to deal with, work per usual. But other than that, for the most part, we're doing pretty well, all things considered. I got to make tuna steak today, so that was my big highlight.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Nothing terribly else going on today. You looking forward to anything this upcoming weekend? Any movies?
Inside Out 2. Really? I know. I think it's coming out this weekend. They're doing some hard promotions, but I know it's because it's a sequel. So, that's about it. I'm sure my husband is going to make me watch some kind of movie I haven't seen yet, which is a lot. So there's a lot I really need to catch up on. So we got through the Alien trilogy. We got through the first three. So I've never seen the first three. I had started with Prometheus. And he said, no, you've got to watch Alien, Aliens, and then Aliens 3. And so I sat through that. But I realized that my opinion and my feelings towards Aliens, and Alien 3 is probably different from everybody who's watched those first and then gone to Prometheus. Because, I love Prometheus, which I hear is, crazy. You should love Prometheus. But I'm into David. I love that aspect that he's an android that doesn't follow the laws of robotics. So all of that makes me that interests me. I think I even went out and bought David's book. And it's a book that they did that he supposedly wrote, and he was sketching what, spoiler alert, but I think Prometheus has been out. What he does with so Elizabeth Shaw, it shows what he did with her body, and it sketches everything and his research into the aliens and the face huggers and how it evolves and stuff like that. It's a great book just for the illustrations alone.
I love those kinds of books of the character in universe makes a book and now it's out.
And so I bought that, and then I bought the Weyland-Yutani, which is the group that sends all the ships out. I bought their log, and so it recaps each movie, starting with I forget her name, but in Alien, the main lady.
Sigourney Weaver.
Ridley, right?
Yeah, Ridley, yeah.
So it starts with her, and it talks about what she did, and it actually shows log files of how these people had filed complaints against the other people, and they said that the complaint it's a good book to just read, and it starts and then it goes back to when they released David and then the David 2s and stuff like that. So it's a very good book, and I love that type of stuff, something that gives you lore that otherwise you wouldn't have known about.
It's always a fun thing. I remember actually I've kind of caught up on a lot of Mad Max prequel comics just because I saw Furiosa. It's I want more.
Right. And that's one I haven't seen. My husband just let me watch the old Mad Max. Mm-hmm. So we watched that first one, but I think there's Tina Turner in one of them.
She's great.
Okay. Yeah. So I haven't seen those two, the last two, and I haven't seen the newer ones. So I know of Furiosa, but she looks like a badass chick. But other than that, I know nothing. Yeah, I'm pretty bad about live action movies. Really bad.
It's to be fair, it kind of happens too, especially as you get older with me as well. It's like when it comes to like so much stuff comes out, it's like, can I really spare $15 on a ticket right now?
And we're the streamers, so like movie theaters are way too loud for me. I realized that when I was pregnant, just going there, I was like, I can't handle the noise. So, and my husband's just like, we went through the pandemic and it worked for us because we can watch a movie, we can stop it now when we want to. Mm-hmm. We still pay the price when it's released. Right. We don't sail the seven seas, but we do, pay the price. But it's a lot better when you're at home, and
there's a comfort
to having a child.
Oh yeah, I'd imagine. But while we're here, we are talking about a very special project today. As speaking of lore and behind the scenes stuff, we are going to be talking about a very, very cool project which I've been following for a bit now. Hold on, sorry. Present. Share screen. Skelly.
Yes. Oh wait,
reversed. Yeah. I love this poster.
Thank you. And I think you've seen the ideations that we did on it. So there was definitely a lot of ideations for the poster, but we decided with this one, just come out right in front to kind of get people's attention.
Did you design this poster?
Yes. Mm-hmm. It was my design, and then we went to Carmen Infinity, who is my animation studio I'm working with, and we decided to, once we got the main designs down, we decided to rework the poster and make them more cohesive together. So it's a great poster, and I love how it came out. Like it's one that I can do anything to. I can take it, I can break it apart, I can animate the leg swing, which is what I'm actually working on now, and getting an animated version going up there. So, grab more people's attention.
Would you like to kind of give us a very kind of brief summary of the like your pitch almost before we get more into the characters and some of the concept of it?
Sure. Skelly is about a 30-something woman named Sarah. That's her sitting on the chair. Blah, blah, blah. I was going to say couch, but it came out care. She's sitting on the chair, and she has an skeleton in her closet, which, everybody tells you, hey, we've all got something to hide. We've all got skeletons in our closet. But it turns out that she does have a real skeleton in her closet, and he runs a bar called the Marrow and Bone. And she keeps telling everybody, and everyone keeps writing her off and saying, blah, 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 it's not real or whatever. But, so then she starts to doubt herself if he's really real or not. So this whole journey for Skelly is Sarah trying to let people know that Skelly is real and find out about Skelly's past. And there's a major twist in it because it's not all of what it seems. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm not very good at secrets, so people will find out about me.
Man. Yeah, I love the concept for this because the pitch does kind of sound like almost those cartoons you watched like when you were younger as a kid, but like now it's like a older, kind of more jaded adult.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, then you got a 30-something-year-old protagonist who's...
And everybody kept saying that, like, you don't have somebody who's our age, when I started making this. And I was like, you know what? We don't, because at first she was 20-something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, even that's a bit extreme. We don't have 20-something-year-old protagonists. We normally have the teenagers or the kids. And I was like, let's push it up. Like, what if we had just our age, and it's someone who's gone through some things, because you go through life and you experience things as an adult, and then you're like, oh man, this adulting wasn't what I thought it would be as a kid, So I was like, there's not a market out there, and I think it's something that hasn't been done, and that's one of my pulls. This is a story that hasn't been done, but I think that we need it. because, you know, the themes that we're talking about here, I think it's something that we need right now in the world, and just people need it right now.
I think, yeah. Speaking of that, I think kind of like the closest I could think to this is like something super recent, which was Fiona and Cake, and she's 29 to 30 in that.
Yeah.
But even that, like, because that's based off like a prior thing, it's kind of like halfway cheating a bit. Yeah. You don't see that a lot. Would you like to? Can we get into the first character of the series?
Sure. We want to talk about Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah Cancer.
Yes. So her name is Sarah Kasner. She is 30 something. I kind of leave it ambiguous, but let's say mid 30s. She is a graphic designer. She works at the Quill, which sounds like a newspaper. That's why I named it that way. And let's just be real. Most of these stories that are going to be in Skelly are autobiographical. So it's something that I've actually gone through. So yes, I am a graphic designer. I have been a graphic designer for quite a minute. Yes, I was at a studio working, and someone said, you know, we should name it the Quill. And I was like, that makes no sense as a graphic design studio. It's like, that makes no sense. Yeah. So Sarah, we can say she's based off me, and she takes a lot of things from me, but she is her own person in her own right. She's African-American and Jewish, not practicing, so she is not Orthodox. Her father was an Orthodox Jewish man, and her mother was, she was, let's just say, she was a free spirit who fell in love with her father. And of course, you know, she decided to convert for him. So while they wanted to push, you know, the familial religion onto her, she kind of just didn't take to it. So that kind of feeds into the, maybe she's atheist or maybe she's not. She does have Jewish band that she wears around her wrist, and that will be represented. But as far as that, I try to keep everything very true. I had to do a lot of research on Orthodox Judaism, you know, because I knew that I wanted a character that was representing, you know, my culture, my race. But I also wanted to, you know, have something different in there. And, you know, I'm not a very religious person. So, and you'll start to see how it gets broken down. Yes, her parents were Orthodox Jews, but she is not. And even for Skelly, you know, it's not about religion. It's definitely not at all. This is everybody's welcome, not a religion. We're not fighting over things. It's just, that is what I wanted to make Sarah. So she's a graphic designer. She's kind of just floundering in her job. I laugh when I make her name badge because it's like a graphic designer 15, when normally it goes graphic designer 1, 2, and senior. So her boss like hates her so much that she will never give her a senior role. So she's like a graphic designer 15, you know, and everybody who's coming in that's younger than her, you know, they're like a senior designer or anything like that. And she's just become jaded with the world.
Totally
it's
can't
like
drive you nuts doing that.
It's just her life. And then she feels like, you know, I get up, I go to work, you know, I come home, I go to bed, you know, or she used to go to bed, you know, now she's having trouble sleeping with a skeleton in her closet. But it's the monotony of her life, you know, that she is done. She is over with it. And you can just tell by her expression, she's done. She's tired all the time because she has her Nana, who she lives with. She doesn't live with her parents. She lives with her Nana, which is her grandma, her booby, sometimes you want to call her. But she lives with her grandmother, and her grandmother has a very healthy, active sex life. So she cannot get to sleep because her room is right next to Nana's. And also, there's always a party going on at the Marrow and Bone Bar. So she is struggling to get some sleep, but you can tell she hasn't had sleep in like the past month and a half.
The most relatable protagonist I've interviewed.
So yeah, we just have Sarah, and it's just these are just a little tidbits about her and her turnaround, and we have a guide to how we wanted her expression to be played out. Like, very rarely do you want to see Sarah smiling. She's just, like I said, she's just over it. And she's just like, I'm here, deal with it. I go to work, it pays my bills, you know? So yeah, very rarely do we see her smiling, and she's not a drinker. So that's always a big thing. She goes to the bar, but she is not a drinker by any means. She'll have water and that is it. Skelly does try to get her to get a drink, but it doesn't really work.
You mentioned you did a lot of research because Jewish on her father's side, and she's not practicing. Was there any influence on this, like religious, when it comes to like either your family or like people you knew growing up, or stuff you just saw or like didn't see that you want to present more often?
Yeah, actually, if I go back and think about it, my parents were like very much, you have to go to church, or at least on Sunday, you have to listen to church music. It started to turn into that. It was like, okay, we were a military family. We moved around a lot. We couldn't go to the church that we wanted to go to, but every Sunday you got to listen to church music. And I was just kind of like, I'm always the type that is always asking questions. So of course, I have friends as I grew up, they were like, the Bible, Jesus, all of this. And, I just asked a flat out question, which I think we've all asked, was Jesus around when the dinosaurs were around? And how does that work? I think we all have asked that question. And my best friend, she actually told me that dinosaurs weren't real and it's just Jesus and they just made up dinosaurs. And I was like, there's bones that they have, right? And she was like, you have to determine what you believe. And I just said, from there, if I determine what I have to believe, then I'm going to accept everything because I want to know about everything. I'm always the type of person, I just always want to learn. So from that, it kind of gave my view of, I'm not an atheist. There's something out there. There is a higher power, but I don't define it and put it in a box, And I think that has a lot to do with, and Skelly is definitely a journey into someone who is scared of death. I'm very scared of death, and it's just those things, certain things that certain religions say happen after you die that interests me, because one religion could say, oh, hey, it just stops. And I'm like, really? And you're okay with that it just stops? Like everything's black. You're good. And I was like, that's scary as hell. I'm going around. I see myself in the mirror. I look at my dogs. I look at everything and look around. And then you say at some point it just stops. Like that scares me, and then some people say, well, it stops and then you get reincarnated. And I'm like, oh, well, that sounds interesting unless you lived a bad life,
Mm-hmm.
So all of those things I think about, and I'm a very, I've got tons of things running through my mind. So it was definitely just a exploration into all of the religions just doing this. And then, I like to watch, I'm very much into serial killers. I know that sounds crazy. I love serial killers and I love like dark side of comedy and shows like that. So I was watching a dark side of comedy and they were talking about Richard Pryor, and Richard Pryor was African-American and Jewish. And I was like, I didn't know that.
Same with Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah. And you don't hear that very often. I was like, let's roll with that. And I think that was my starting point. And I had a roommate in college and she was Jewish, and she had quirks about her that I was just like, no, I think you're messing with me. I think you're really messing with me. But just living with her for 3 years, and literally having to take care of this girl. We're both in college and we're both, starting to be adults. And she's still like, oh, I need someone to clean up my trash, and I'm just like, this is weird. This is a weird relationship we have right now. But it's definitely all from stuff that has happened in my life.
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned Richard Pryor, one of the most well-known, probably like one of the most like beloved comedians out there. Would you say like stand-up comedy was that like a big influence with this at all? Or more of like the tone of like kind of dark comedy of like an undertone of that, or?
I would say that, and most of it is from me. Like I want something funny. And I'm that type of person when in awkward situations, it's always good to make a joke. So I'm always like, oh, ha-cha-cha, it's good to make a joke about something. And I've even been told, like, one of my old bosses was like, you don't have to make a joke about everything. And I was like, yeah, but life's a lot better if you do. So I knew going into this, I've always wanted something to be funny, but I also wanted it to have meaning as well. So it was kind of like, yeah, let's put the funny in, but let's make the funny kind of dark, and it leads to something. So every line in Skelly is intentional. If that makes sense. Every line and every joke is intentional, and it's going to be your thread to lead you somewhere else.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it sounds like it's very like more like dialogue centered comedy as opposed to like more slapsticky.
Yeah, definitely. Since she's more of an adult, I didn't really want to go into the slapstick stuff. And that was just me. I'm a big, or used to be a very big anime watcher. And I used to like, Tenchi Muyo and Digi Carrot, stuff that was really funny. And as I got older, I was like, I like stuff that has more of a meaning. I like stuff like Monster, or yes, like I like the psychological thriller animes, Dungeon Meshi, is a newer one that's come out, even though it's about cooking, there's just some dark undertones. And my husband, oh my God, Cyberpunk, even watching that, my husband's like, you know how to pick the animes that make us cry. And I'm like, you damn straight, I did my job, And he was like, we've got to watch something to break this up. And I was like, no, let's roll into the next one, Attack on Titan, we're done. So like I wanted to stay very far away. I think when I was younger, if I had started this, as I was younger, I think it would have been more of a slapstick thing because, I love Tiny Toon Adventures and then Ninja Turtles, like stuff that was, definitely slapstick. But then I was like, we want to elevate it. Not saying that slapstick is bad. It's not, I just wanted to, be more adult and intense and intentional with my bringing it to the adult level.
Yeah. I think like a lot of my favorite comedies definitely have more of it has lines of like you could read that it's like, oh, that's really funny, but at the same time, like that's also really sad. Like my favorite shows of all time, Venture Bros, is like has like that like down to a T.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, it's one of those shows of like when you say the dialogue, like every line has a purpose, it makes you think of like if you read your script and like you block out like all the characters' names just by like the phrasing alone, which character is saying that. That's kind of the impression I get with Skelly a lot.
Yep. Like if you just would block out and redact all the names, who we're talking about, And half of the characters' names are redacted for that reason, or there is a nickname that they're given.
Do you see any of yourself in Sarah in some of like the jadedness or tiredness or
all the time, all the time? And I mean, especially being the graphic designer and and I hate to say it, I'm the diversity hire usually when we do a graphic design thing because there are not a lot of African-American graphic designers, sadly to say. I'm a unicorn, is how I describe myself. So, I am that diversity hire, and they make it very apparent. I live in the South, so it's made very apparent when you're the diversity hire and when they want you to come in because we have to take a group photo and you're the face, So I definitely can relate. Like, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm just like, got to make that money to order more stuff off Amazon.
Of course, yeah. Who does she have already selected voice actors?
She does, Lakyra Porter. And I don't know if you know her very well. Lakyra has done so much. She is actually going to be Millie Martin's for Shockwave's new talk show talking about indie animations coming out. So Lakyra, like knocked it out of the park. Hi, Lakira knocked it out of the park when she sent her demo reel, and I was like, "Oh my god, you are Sarah. We cannot not proceed without you."
I want to work with like great voice actors, and she's doing stuff with my friend Fiona Paulo, who you might know. She's playing Sunkiss. She's playing an ingredient name, but yeah, I totally
She's
forget.
doing a lot. Oh my gosh, she's worked for Netflix. She's done.
Nice. Oh god, that's so cool. Was there a line she delivered that's like, oh, this is her?
Oh, I think it was when she went to the therapist for the first time, or even the Halloween shop little video we have out there when she's telling Skelly to get in the bag, and she mistakes Skelly for a prop skeleton in the Halloween store. She read that perfectly. Like, it was like she was done. I was over it. Get in the bag. And it was like, I call it now skeletal profiling, but it's called mistaken identity. But, it was, she thought a prop skeleton was Skelly, and she's like, get back in this bag right now. And he's behind her, and he's like, you think that's me? And she's like, no, oh my God, no. Why would you think that? So that whole skit, she like carried. It was amazing. Just when she read the lines, I was like, yep, you got it.
Nice. That we've said his name a few times before, but would you like to go more into depth of the titular character, Skelly?
Skelly B. Bones. Yes. We can go into his background a little, I guess you would say. I don't want to,
of course,
mystery. But he is the bartender of the Marrow and Bone. He will fix you any drink that you desire. All he asks is he wants 2 coins for payment. And once you give him your 2 coins, you get your drink. And that is pretty much it. He, keeps the bar running. He's Sarah's annoyance every day. He just wants Sarah to have fun, and he thinks you can sleep when you're dead. So get up and come waitress in my bar for me because, we're short staffed, so he is definitely an annoyance, a taskmaster. And, most of the time, if Sarah's not being the comic relief, he's the comic relief. And all of my characters, I think someone asked me, who's the main character here? And I said, well, we have duo protagonists, but everyone's really a main character because they're all the comic relief. So they've all, like I said, all the lines have a purpose. So they're all main characters to me. I know that's like hard for people to wrap their head around, but if we have to quantify it, we do have a duo protagonist. We have an antagonist.
Detronogonist. It's a super hard one.
Right. So everyone's there for a reason, and everyone's there for a purpose. So, I think that's all I can really say about Skelly without getting too much into it. He's been at the Marrow and Bone for a long time. Let's just leave it at that. He's been there for a long time, and he'll tell you he loves his job. But he could be doing other things.
Design wise, was there, other than bartender, was there ever like a influence with this character, or did you go through undead stuff, and did you settle on a skeleton, or?
So he was always going to be a skeleton, and I always knew I wanted him to be super tall. Mm-hmm. And once again, this goes back to a lot of things I had never watched before. One of my friends was like, have you ever seen Billy and Mandy? Because the design that you're trying to go down to, he looks like Death from Billy and Mandy. And I had never seen, I had never watched an episode of Billy and Mandy. I had seen promos and posters for it. But it wasn't something I just sat down and watched. And I finally, took a leap and watched an episode. And I was like, I can see where you can say that with him just being a skeleton. It kind of makes sense that they could be connected or interconnected. But really, I I got the idea for Skelly, and I'm dating myself from watching the old Beetlejuice cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is funny. Never seen Beetlejuice the movie, never seen the musical, but I love the cartoon. So Skelly was Beetlejuice, and I was like, what if Beetlejuice was a little bit taller? Wasn't, well, in the cartoon, he wasn't that annoying. At the time that I made him, he wasn't
a villain in the cartoon.
Right. And then that's one of those movies that I just recently watched, and it's on the I think it's always played, the movies we love, and I watched Beetlejuice, and I was like, he's a jerk. I was like, I don't like this Beetlejuice. He's a jerk.
Yeah, the original premise, as well, for Beetlejuice is a lot creepier with the character.
Right. And so I had based him on the cartoon Beetlejuice because, like we had said before, I guess that was made more for the kids who hadn't seen the movie. So that was all I knew of Beetlejuice was the cartoon and Lydia, and she would get a new dress, whenever she went to the underworld or anything to see Beetlejuice. And I knew there were sandworms, and I knew sandworms. He was really scared of that, and there's a spider, and I think they added the skeleton painter, which everyone was like, well, did you base him on the skeleton painter? And I said, no, Jock, I forget about him all the time. If he's not on screen, I forget about him. So really, he is based on animated Beetlejuice, but just a little bit taller. And then I had always said, if we did Skelly, I said I always wanted him to be buttoned up, definitely have the collared shirt on and have the tie. And everybody was like, why? And I said, well, you don't want him to be naked, do you? And they were like, well, skeletons are normally naked. And I said, well, so that's another joke because,
to the bone.
Right. There's a skit, coming out where Sarah walks in on Skelly using the bathroom and he's totally naked and he's like and he's like, oh my God, you see me. And she was like, you don't have any skin, and he's like, hey, I don't tell you how to live your life. I'm naked right now. So it's like, I always want him to be buttoned up. And I definitely got into the page boy Newsies feel to it. And I was like, so I want him to look like a page boy. Definitely want the suspenders, the tie. And he actually had a Newsies hat, and I was like, I don't, once we started getting into the animation, just pencil mileage and everything, it was just a lot easier to not have him have the hat. And the hat was going to be something that kind of floated above his head anyway. Kind of like, you see the characters with the crown, but it's not really seated on their head. It's kind of like there. So then, like I said, once we thought about it in pencil mileage, it just really wasn't worth it. So I was like, as long as I get him in the suspenders and a tie, I'm good. So, and you can kind of see that motif going through with the Beetlejuice black and white with what he's wearing, so I kind of inverted the stripes and I played him in a different way. So it's my homage to the Beetlejuice cartoon. Love that show. But like I said, once I watched the Beetlejuice movie, I was a little jaded, but I do want to see the musical because I love musicals.
I didn't actually get to see that musical in Chicago. Really fun. But totally. Like in the back row with my binoculars, just crammed between 5 other people, but it's worth it.
Right. It's actually now coming south. So it's coming to Birmingham, Alabama, which is about 2 hours away from us. So I'm finally going to get to see it. And my husband's like, I don't think you want to see Beetlejuice because he's basing it off the movie. And I said, so, I said, the songs are different.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of a cross. But yeah, personally, this is also just my opinion. I personally think the musical is the best Beetlejuice in general.
Awesome.
I think it hits a great balance, but of course, personal opinion. Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I listen to the soundtrack at least once a day. So I'm excited to see it. I wish I could see it it's just like Wicked. I wish I could have seen it with the original cast or Hamilton. You want to see it with the original cast, but I'll take it. I really wanted to see the voice of Fizzarolli.
Oh, yeah. Alex, he's been crushing it lately.
Yeah, he has. Adam, he's been crushing it. The voice of Fizzarolli and Adam, I just, that vocal fry, I love it. I just really wanted to see it with him, but I'll take what I can get at this point.
I really love Skelly B. Bowen's design, because like skeletons, they're such they're so simple, but they're also so incredibly flexible as characters. I think that's why they kind of like they're still very persistent. I'm gonna slightly kind of date myself. Have you ever played the game Grim Fandango? With
I have.
With Manny. Just
Yeah.
whenever I see a skeleton character, I'm like, that's Manny. That's
Yeah, and skeletons have become the big thing now. And Undertale I've never played, but I know that there's Sans and Papyrus. So I know of them. And Jack Skellington is my best friend's favorite. She is his girlfriend, Sally. I think everybody wants Jack Skellington to their Sally, so, and even you have what I was going to bring up, Jorge Gutierrez, Book of Life, and Coco. Skeletons are the new thing now, and I was doing this before skeletons were cool. So and definitely the guy from One Piece, I've seen a lot
Brooke.
of him.
I love Brooke so much.
So everyone's gonna be so mad at me, and I'm gonna tell you this is my anime rule for myself. You can agree or you can disagree. Once I got into the psychological thrillers, and once I watched Monster, I said that a story needs to be wrapped up in 78 episodes. If it's not, then there's a problem. And that goes to like the Dragon Ball Z, the Narutos that go on forever. And I know One Piece is going on forever. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, because people actually want Brooks to be in the Marrow and Bone. And I'm like, oh, I wish he could. If they give me the green light to do it, I would totally do it. But I have to look at copyright perspective. Even though I'm indie, I have to look at copyright perspective. But I did get a lot of questions asking if he would be in the bar. And, while it would be nice for Skelly to have another skeleton friend, I would have to get the green light for that. So, but I have even reached out to Jorge Gutierrez. I was like, can La Muerte, can they be in the bar? Just come in randomly.
The gods, that'd be awesome. I'm a huge One Piece fan. It might be my favorite series, and I'm definitely more into the manga, but it is over 1,000 chapters, and it's I do understand why people get intimidated by it. It's so big. It does have it's a planned out story, but I do understand if especially when you get older, you're like, man, do I really have time to read a chapter a day?
Yeah, and it's I've started the anime 2 or 3 times, and then some of my friends are like, yeah, I'm going in, and I can't even get past, and I know I'm not even giving it a chance. I really can't even get through the first episode, and I don't know what it is with me. I don't know. The
pacing of the anime is weird to me.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the art for me, because I watched One Punch Man, but I did fall off in the second season. So I don't know if I could even say it's the art for me. I'm really interested, because people have said there's some really good story arcs in it. It's just, I've always been one where I don't like the filler. Once, Dragon Ball Z started to put that filler in, and Naruto started to put the filler in, and, Naruto was awesome to me because it was shiny and new when it came out, and we hadn't seen that smooth of an anime transition. They were doing 12 frames to 16 frames instead of the normal 7, where we got the jumpiness with Dragon Ball Z. And sorry for people not in the know for animation, Disney animation is normally 24 frames a second. So that means you have 24 drawings per second. I don't want to dumb it down people don't know. I know people who have come to your podcast know about it. But Naruto had gone to 12 frames, so it looked fluid. Of course, when you slowed it down and you paused on something, you're going to find one of those frames that looks like butt. That's just what you're going to find. And you're going to be like, whoa, what happened here? But when it's played at full pace, it looks great. Mm-hmm. And my husband was really into Naruto, so I bought him all the DVDs and everything. And then we got to the part where I think it was the first season or the second season, but it was all filler. And I had bought him all these DVDs, and this is when everything was coming out on DVDs, and I date myself by even going back to when they were doing the fan dubs. We used to
Oh
get the
god.
tape, the Sailor Moon and
That takes
everything.
me back to when I would go on YouTube and I watch like search up dubs of animes, but then like the fan dubs came up. But I wasn't like old enough to really get like, why does this sound different?
Right. And, it's so like I had bought them all these DVDs off eBay that had been, they were in Japan, and of course someone had ripped it onto a disc. This is how old I am, people. And so I bought my husband all these DVDs, and we got them in like stacks. They were like 46 at a time, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then we got to the point where it started to be filler. And, I think for the first part of the filler, we were like, okay, we didn't like it, but it was kind of needed because they needed to get through the training arc and all of that stuff. But then it started to be a constant thing.
Yeah.
With every arc, it started to be that. And I started to notice that. And I was like, just call me when it gets to the fun part, where they're fighting and it has a purpose, because everything else I don't really care about. And I just realized that with me, like I say, 78 episodes is your cutoff for me. But that's also because I have ADHD. And even when we watch a movie like Aliens, hard for me to sit still and watch it. I am not a person who's going to sit still and watch a movie straight through. I've got to get up. I've got to fiddle with something. I've got to do something. I've got to ask you a question. So just know that this is not a poo-poo on One Piece or any of those animes. I think they're great in their own merit. It's just for me, I can't take the filler. My ADHD will not let me do it. It's like, no, no.
No, but yeah, everyone just has different tastes with this kind of stuff, especially. Now, to go on a bit, I would like to kind of discuss kind of locations in your series, because of course, you mentioned it's literally a bar in her closet,
right?
So it's like, what would you say your level of like the supernatural in your series? Like, how much of it is in there, and like, what's kind of at the bar of Marrow and Bone, or is there like obviously like stuff you want to keep secret, or
no. So the bar, as you can see, this is one of the running jokes. Everyone's like, there can't be a bar in your closet. Literally, it's like a broom closet kind of, thing. And she's like, yeah, you don't understand. It's like the Witch in the Wardrobe. You could go through it, or Narnia. Like, you go through it, totally there. And like, people just can't understand. Like, they open it and they're like, this is the end of it. There's nothing there. And she's like, you don't see this corridor? And people are like, no, I see your clothes. So that's the running gag. She's like, even when Skelly, they first meet, she's like, how the hell do you fit a bar in my closet? And she's like, it's literally a broom closet. I don't even understand. So there is some kind of, let's just call it skeleton magic that happens, where only she can see it, only she can walk through the corridor. And it's definitely not like, and I'm saying this again, which I keep saying, I haven't seen these movies, so I can only go off what I've seen. So it's definitely not like Narnia, where I think they jump through it and they're automatically in the place. Like, she has to walk down a corridor to get to it. And there is a corridor, which you guys saw in the theme song. There's a corridor that she has to go down. So it's not like we just jump in it and then we're in our space, So there definitely is a walk to it. And of course, when you get into it, it's like this huge, massive bar that we have all kinds of people there. And we also have this other running gag where there are stairs. So you essentially think that there's a second floor to the bar, but nobody has ever gone up the stairs. And so the running gag is, what's up the stairs? And everybody's like, you know what? I don't know. I don't think we've ever gone upstairs, So that's a running gag where people are like, we don't really know what's up the stairs, So it's definitely, it is a speakeasy kind of bar. So it's open. They have enough where bands can play. Definitely I take a nod from Lackadaisy for that. We just happen to be thinking on the same thing. Theirs is all in Prohibition era, so they definitely do have the speakeasies. So I was like, oh man, am I gonna have to cut this out, because they already took the idea of it. I was like, mine is not in Prohibition times, but it is like a speakeasy type of thing, type of saloonish speakeasy type bar setting.
Is the band is it like a human band, or is it all skeletons?
well, we don't know. It's set, so he doesn't have any friends that come through. So, well, everybody is his friend. Isn't that always a thing with a bartender? I don't think you ever meet somebody who's not your friend. So most of the people are humans that come and play at the bar. So we'll have like Etta James, or we'll have Amy Winehouse. Like, she is one of the main characters in there now. I think we kind of took out Frida, which, if you go into the deck for the ancillary characters, we had Frida Kahlo, which, you know, at the time when we put her in there, she wasn't being used as much. And now Frida is kind of like, yeah, she's everywhere. So I was like, we've got to take Frida out. And so I switched Frida for Amy Winehouse because I wanted to have an equal number of girls and guys, you know,
that's
just
good.
Yeah. And I wanted to have diversity, you know, and we definitely wanted to have diversity. So I was, you know, trying to hit that, and definitely not diversity hires. Yeah, you know, we definitely wanted more diverse characters, and even some characters that haven't been made yet. We'll have Bonnie and Clyde, but they're not the Bonnie and Clyde, you know. We have changed their races and everything. So I think we're going to have a half Filipino Bonnie, and Clyde is just a Westerner, you know, a Southerner, sorry. But he kind of plays the big New York man, because I think that is what Bonnie and Clyde to me essentially portrayed. Like, they wanted to be the New York gangsters, but they definitely were in the Texas, you know, area.
Oh, yeah.
So
people forget, they were really Southern.
Yeah, they were really Southern, but in Skelly, he's like trying to prove that, yeah, I'm New Yorker, you know, but he's got that accent, you know, so. And they are played by a couple. They are a couple. So a couple of voice actors now. And I said, hey, that would be great because y'all can play off of each other. You know, that's what we want all the voice actors to do, to actually play off of each other. And as I was doing the demos and listening and hiring the voice actors, you know, and I will say my roster is stacked. I normally don't toot my own horn, but the roster of VAs I've got is stacked.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, feel free to mention any of them, because
oh my gosh,
it's always like fun to share voice actors or like see inspiration behind the characters and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh my God, Jalen Askins, he came in.
Oh,
like
I work with him. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, he came in like a beast. He's got 3 roles. So he came in and he was the first one to land 3 roles, and I said, I'm sorry, you just fit these 3 roles. Jalen is a beast. And the thing is, so when I picked Clyde, who also plays Blaine, it's Nathan Wagner, and I was like, man, you're a beast too. So, and I was like, do you know Jalen? And he was like, yeah, we hang out all the time. And I was like, you do? And he was like, yeah, we hang out all the time. And I was like, well, this is going to be amazing, because I want you and him to be throwing jabs at each other. So Jalen plays Frederick Douglass, and he is the old man. He's nicknamed the old man. And he's like that grandpa father figure type thing that always has to tell you a story, but you just don't want to hear it. Like, he'll always come up with a story for your situation, but you don't want to hear it. And so Nathan and Jalen, they hang out together, and Brenna, who plays Bonnie. So I was like, yeah, I need y'all to play off each other since y'all know each other. And when we record, if y'all can be together, that'd be awesome, because I want Bonnie and Clyde to constantly be going after the old man, because they're like, shut up, we're tired of hearing your stories, you know. And so we've got Abigail Carey, who plays Fiery Miss J. She plays Joan of Arc. She gave me a good French accent, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. You're wonderful. Vanessa Benoit, she plays my Anne Boleyn, who also has a very active, well, let's just say she's very randy. Let's put it that way. But she is a head and a ball, but she is very randy. She will write her digits on her bowl with her tongue for you. And Vanessa Benoit delivered with the accent and just the regal elegance Anne Boleyn portrayed. And fun fact, Vanessa and I both have a obsession, I guess you call it an obsession, a healthy obsession, with Anne Boleyn and her story being one of the 7 wives of...
Oh, sorry, don't go on.
No. 7 wives of... was it Charles
King
or Henry? Yeah, King Henry. So we both had an obsession, and she was like, you have no idea how long I've been wanting to voice Anne Boleyn. And I was like, you're gonna do it.
Have you guys thought of doing an AMAC or whatever, but to the 6 musical?
And so that's another musical that's actually coming to the South that I'm going to see, because I've only seen like one song performed by them. I've never gone and then seen anything else. So I have definitely thought about it. I was like, like I go way into pre-planning when I do these things, because I was like, when we finally get the pilot done and we have a launch party, I was like, Vanessa, I have this choker that I want you to wear, and I found it on Amazon, and it's a choker of pearls, but it has drops of blood. They're like rubies, though. It's blood, and then it's ruby drips that drip down. And I was like, if you could come to the live watch and wear that to signify that your head's been cut off, I was like, that's amazing, right? And she was like, oh my God, So like I am all the way in the pre-planning stage. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have this pilot watch party, and we're all gonna dress up, and I'm gonna have on a straight jacket, and do all of these things. But yeah, like I said, so all of the characters that are in there, they're all, main characters in their own life story. I mean, we've got Jack the Ripper.
He's not looking as happy as he's usually portrayed.
Right. And so I wanted him to be portrayed as, I had always thought, and like I said, I love serial killers. I was like, what if Jack the Ripper really didn't kill all these women, since no one could ever figure out who he was? I was like, and what if the women killed themselves because they were actually going on dates with him and he was just so boring that they wanted to kill themselves to get away from him? I was like, it's funny as hell. Come on. And he talks about his mom all the time. He's like the Spot from, what is it? DC's Avengers, Suicide Squad.
He's like
Polka Dot. He always just talks about his mom,
David Damasturk. It's super German name, but yeah, I could totally see that voice coming out of this guy.
yeah, and I think that is Jalen as well. That is Jalen. And then we got Jesse James. And then we have Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar is played by Jeremiah Render. He goes by Livid Joker on Twitter. We have it, like I said, it's a stacked cast. Vanessa, she's currently doing some dubs at Crunchyroll, so I have to give her a big shout out for that. She's in a lot of dubs. She's actually landing a bunch of roles, and I'm so happy for her. And Abigail, she's doing a lot of dubs for Crunchyroll. We have Gerald Hill. He's been doing a lot of voice acting. He actually has voice act with Lakira, who plays Sarah. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about that is that he's always the father figure. And I didn't know this when I wanted to cast him. And then I came up to him and I said, can you be Sarah's father? And he was like, so you haven't seen what Lakira and I have done for Netflix? And I said, no, show me. And it had just come out, so I hadn't seen the clip or anything. And so he showed me the clip, and he plays her dad in that clip too. And she plays the daughter, and he plays her dad. And
was it a dub or like a cartoon?
It was a cartoon that they just put out. And I was like, oh my God. And then I felt really bad because I was like, I don't want to typecast you as the father. And he said, don't worry about it. I'm always the dad. And he says, I lean heavily into it. And I said, well, good, because you're going to be your dad. So Lakira and Gerald, they worked well together. Father and daughter, they're a winning team. And Richard Kingston, Mr. Kingston, I always call him, or my Skelly. He plays Skelly B. Bones. Kind of a British accent, kind of not, he's kind of definitely, oi, he's a rugby player type person. That's more Australian, but yeah, he does the accent a lot better. So Richard Kingston, he goes by Silent Cosplay on Instagram. He is the Skelly to my Sarah. And then we have the employees and Wanda. Wanda is played by Lauren. She goes by Ren Anderson. She goes by Ren Voices on Twitter. This is actually her very first role, I think, in voice acting.
Oh, and nice.
Yeah, she was a little scared when she came on board. She was like, I can't believe you picked me. This is my first role. And I was like, girl, you killed it. And so she actually plays the antagonist, Wanda Shankins, who is Sarah's boss.
One of the huge power shoulders.
Always gotta have power. You gotta have the power shoulders and the power jacket. Wanda is all about herself, and she's definitely into the critical race theory and DEI being woke. So she's into the wokeness of the world right now. And she said that Sarah is not woke enough. So she wants Sarah to be more woke. Like literally everything she does has to be woke and is related to DEI and critical race theory. Sarah is, like I said, she's over it. And we have Douglas Rouse, who is the guy with the red hair. He is actually based on a coworker I had, the one who wanted to name the design agency The Quill. So Douglas is the ginger who likes to snap. And actually, he runs a little coffee shop. Like he makes all the coffee for the employees, or at least he said he would. Like, so he said, yeah, I'll just, anybody want any coffee from Cafe Ginger Snaps, come. And he has his own little cafe, but then he like quickly regrets that he ever said it. And he was like, all you guys do is come to me for coffee. And everyone's like, well, that's what you said you would do, and he's like, after 2 days, he's like, I'm over this. I don't want to do the grunt work. So he is played by Kevin Frey, who is amazing. He's on Instagram. He goes by Kevin Tendo on Instagram. And then we've got a coworker I had named Crying Amy. And she does nothing but cry all the time. And what is she crying about? Nobody knows, because nobody can make out what she's saying half the time because she's crying. She is played by Hannah Elizabeth. So she has actually worked on indie projects before. But this is the first I've heard about her doing indie. So she is actually doing her. We've got Booze, Daniel Bray, who is playing the therapist, which he's kind of, he's a therapist. He's kind of neutral. And then, for the life of me, I couldn't find a hot Nana that fit what I wanted. So everybody was saying, you just do the voice of hot Nana since you know what you want. And I said, okay, fine.
I love that.
I'm hot Nana. I'm hot Nana. So
that's the sign of a great animation project of like the creator doing a silly voice.
Right. So it's me. I play hot Nana, much to my dismay. I wish that I had found, I wanted Janice from Friends. Oh my God, Chandler Bing, but I couldn't find it. So I said, since, my friends were like, since you know what she's like, and she's horny and everything, you know what to do. So just be her. And I was like, fine, if I have to, God, so twist my arm to do it. So
last few months I've actually been rewatching. I've been watching The Nanny, and it's like, it's that voice of like Jewish New Yorker kind of woman. Yes. And Fran Drescher, she definitely was an inspiration for that. Definitely Bobby Hill, the voice of Bobby Hill. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wanted her, and I reached out to her. Nobody answers my emails. Answer my emails, people. So I definitely have reached out, but I'm happy with the cast I have. We have kind of formed a little family. I call them the Skeleton Crew, which is a cool little name for everybody. I call everybody the Skeleton Crew, and we kind of formed a little, family on our little Discord and everything. So we kind of keep everything there, everybody's happy, and I try to keep everyone happy most of the time. So we just go on the Discord and we shoot the crap and talk about anything.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, just to go back just a slightly bit, just because I'm curious, is Anne Boleyn's head in like a fish bowl, or
it is it's a fish bowl?
I love that.
And everybody was like, well, you're biting off Futurama. And I said, no, it's different. It's totally different.
I mean, what was it? Return to Oz kind of had something similar that came out like a few years before Futurama.
I haven't seen that either. So. Yeah. So all of these things I haven't seen, and everyone's like, hey, that kind of has this vibe. Did you watch this when you were creating this character? And I just look at them like with dead deer eyes. I'm like, what are you talking about? What?
Something I've tend to notice when you interview like a lot of different like people with, like comics or animation or stuff like that, is like, well, there are like some main inspirations you can sometimes tell from a person, but like usually the big inspirations are like the ones you like they keep very close to their chest, and kind of like the one you would like least expect with this kind of stuff.
Right. And I was just like, Anne Boleyn got her head chopped off. So Like, what if she's just like Randy because she never really got anything from her husband, and so like she lives in a jar, and like how would she want to get numbers? And everybody's like, she'll be like, "Hey guys, look at your 9 o'clock," and everybody's like, "We don't know where you're pointing." And she has to do everything with her tongue. Like she's like, "Give this guy my number," and she's like, and she writes her number with her tongue in there. So she's like, "Give him my number," Everybody's like, it's not gonna work out, And so she's like that. She's like that wingman type friend who always wants to help you, but she's really out to get a boyfriend for herself, and she can't understand why nobody's interested in her. And she was like, "They always walk away from me. They always walk away. They don't know." And she's like, she's fine with it. She's like, after, she gets shot down, like not more than 2 seconds later, she's on to her next prize. She's like, "All right, and this is what we do."
Is there a character that carries Anne Boleyn around the most, or like from place to place?
Her and Joan. Her and Joan are like ride or dies, and I think in one of the Skelly animations we have, I think it's the one that you use for the advertisement where they're dancing. It's her and Joan most of the time. They're together. Yeah, so they're the bad girl group in the bar.
Oh, it's a bar locations.
Yeah, so we have some bar concepts in there, and how we sketched out the bar and what it looks like. So it really is, it's bigger than you would expect. I mean, let's just be honest, from the broom closet, it's definitely bigger than you would expect. So we definitely, and me, I'm not a drinker. So this goes to, I had to go to some places and do research. And, the animators were like, "You got to go to a bar, Kaylee. You got to do research." And I was like, if I have to, gosh, so I'd go out to these bars. And everybody's like, "What are you drinking?" And I was like, "I got to come up with a drink real quick. I don't know. Give me a Roy Rogers."
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
It
Just
sounds
speaking
fancy.
of, yeah, I was just curious. Are all the drinks like real drinks, or are they like drinks you made up for like fun?
So they are. So they're real drinks. They are going to have different names. I kind of base that on, and I don't know if a lot of people, and of course I say this sarcastically, I don't know if a lot of people watch Hell of a Boss, but I know they do. But there was an illustrator who did some drinks for the characters. And they all had their signature drink. And,
That's cool.
I thought about it and I was like, so yeah, we're going to do signature drinks. Like Julius Caesar, he's always going to be drinking the green juice.
Of course.
Fiery Miss J is always going to have something that's on fire and she's got to blow it out. The old man, Frederick Douglass, he's going to have some kind of old bourbon or some whiskey. So I kind of played off their characters on what they were going to drink. And I wanted to make it real drinks that are actually out there with a twist, so we'll call it Fiery Miss J's, Miss Fiery J's cocktail or something. We'll have illustrations because I think that was one of actually the rewards that I was giving out at one point was the drink menu, so you could make the drink.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm glad you just mentioned that because I wanted to ask you one more question about your because you have a Kickstarter up now.
Yes.
So would you like to tell people about that? Some of the details, some of the rewards they could possibly get?
Yes. So this is actually, I will say, this is our third go round. We tried every other platform, I think. We were on, I think we started on BackerKit and we did not get successfully funded there. And so we took that as maybe we were just on the wrong, platform. And then so we tried Kickstarter because we saw a lot of indie people were getting funded. Lumi and the Big Galaxy, Euclideus 5, some other indie people like, and even on BackerKit, Lackadaisy, I think was the triumph that I don't think anybody can, redo or remake or anything. I don't think anybody is ever going to hit that.
Yeah, especially like in the animation as well. I've known some.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Tracy, the creator, I had, read Lackadaisy long before I had watched the animation before it came out. So I was been reading that for years. And to find out that she was going to do an animation, I was totally on board, and I was going to back it no matter what, because I love the idea of prohibition cats. It reminds me of Cats Don't Dance. I love
Yeah.
that animated movie.
Mhm.
And it was just like seeing Danny, you know, and then that, and just the way that her characters move and everything. I fell in love with it, even though it was a web comic at the time.
Mhm.
And so anyway, we tried Backer Kit trying to reproduce kind of some lackadaisy traction. Of course, we don't have the following of lackadaisy, and that's why I need everybody out there. I need you guys. So we failed on that one, and I had to pivot. And so we are relaunching now on Kickstarter. And like I said, I need all of you to come, and I need you, like, even if it's $1, I don't care if we get 1,000 people donating $1, that's $1,000. Come on, y'all spend it on Starbucks coffee. And we need a good indie community out there. That's one of the biggest things that I want to do. While I do want to promote my passion project of Skelly, and it is on Kickstarter, my whole thing is I want to foster a good indie creator community. And with that, I'm focusing on Skelly, but I also want to put out there that I'm working on a indie streaming service that would be free, and you own everything, which that is very hard to do, where you can still keep everything. Kind of like a YouTube-ish, but I wanted to put it on the Roku network, where creators can get out there and like stream their stuff, own their stuff, and have their own, little mini communities if they want, but we all know that we're coming together as indie creators in solidarity, that we're supporting each other. And I think that's the big thing we don't see a lot of, is everyone supporting everybody. I think we have a lot of, and I think I've talked about this before, we have everybody, or we have a lot of people out there who feel like this is my space and you can't be in this space.
Yeah.
But I'm that type of person who's like, we can both coexist in the same space. Like, Hell of a Boss, I bring that one up because Viv is like who I look up to. Iron Spike, people I look up to. We can exist in the same space, even though we might have some kind of lines that cross. We're two totally different creations. And so anyway, back to the Skelly pilot. We're trying to do the 11-minute pilot episode, which is the first episode. Skelly right now would only be 7 episodes for Sarah's season, and that is a little Easter egg. So if you guys want to go look up 7, with all of the stuff that I've given you thus far, that is a little Easter egg. But Sarah's season will have 7 episodes, and that will be the end of her story. But we really need to get the pilot out there. I want to get the pilot out there so we can have proof of concept, and so people can actually see what this is, and they will understand why they need it, because I can tell you guys in words why you need it, because we focus on themes like familial relationships and familial trauma and familial just things that your family puts on you, and the stress that they might have put you through growing up. And I say this, to a lot of people I talk to, us kids of color, we grew up where mental illness was not talked about, and it was swept under the rug, and that's not healthy. Even now, to this day, we have Black men out there, or men of color, even white men. It's something that they cannot talk about, because they think if you're a man and you talk about your feelings, you're kind of too soft. And I want to just erase that out of everyone's mind, because that's a stigma that we've grown up with. Yeah. And so Skelly does focus on mental illness, and we do have characters with disability. Blaine, Sarah's best friend, he is actually based off of one of my friends. He was born without shoulders, but he's still doing his job as a graphic designer. He's still making it work. It's definitely not a South Park type of we make fun of Timmy type of, Skelly is a celebration of everybody out there who ever grew up feeling like they didn't belong, or felt like they were just kind of weird, whether they were LGBTQ, whether they had ADHD, anxiety, whether they were, for me, I was a military brat, so I was exposed to a lot of different cultures. A lot of people don't get that. We have children of color raised in the South, And I'm talking about the hard South where, people say you don't belong. And this is the show for you because we are celebrating everybody. And it is definitely love the skin you're in because we're all diamonds. And so like, I want that to like I said, I started this off by saying, I feel like this is something that people need. Like, this is something that I wish younger me had, and definitely me now. I still go through where my parents are saying, oh, you're not depressed. You're just, you're just sad, and everyone gets sad. And I was like, no, this isn't just sad, and I'm coming from a military family. My dad was like, you suck it up and you move on. And I said, but what if you can't suck it up and move on? Like, should I feel bad that I can't suck it up and move on? No, because there's someone out there who is going through something and y'all just don't know.
Yeah. The military family pathos was definitely, if you have feelings, you put in your chest and then one day you die. That was definitely my dad.
Yeah. It's like you shove that crap down and you keep moving. My dad still says it. He's like, there's stuff I didn't bring home to y'all because I shoved it down and I kept going on. And I was like, okay, Dad, well, now you're a little crazy. You're a little bipolar, maybe you should have talked to somebody about that, So definitely, even with Sarah, we focus on her going to therapy sessions. Like every episode is set as a therapy session where she talks about things that happened, so I want to make, therapy, something that's not, looked down upon. Therapy is good. And if you need it, please go. And I think even with the Skelly Discord, we try to foster a no negativity space, but we do have a mental health chat where if you need to talk about something and you feel like you have no one else to talk to, we are always there for you. Mm-hmm. And somebody's always there to answer, which is usually me because I'm always on the computer. And I always say that like, I'm the golden retriever of people. Like I will listen, and I will try to help the best way I can. And sometimes some people don't want help. They just want to vent, they're, that's where I have well. And that's fine as well. But there's sometimes that I need to realize that you're venting to vent. You don't want an explanation or you don't want a solution. And I respect that, So this is while this is my passion project, and I would love for it to be, greenlit and we get funded. It's not just for me. It's for everybody out there, like I said, who has ever just not felt comfortable in their own skin. Like this is a story that celebrates being comfortable and celebrates anybody with any kind of quirks or, feelings of inadequacies that they think that they had or they have been told that they have. They're not inadequacies. That is a part of you and it should be celebrated. So that was my big thing. So, I hope that you guys want to see more Skelly. As far as rewards, we are giving out T-shirts. I'm giving out Sarah's little Jewish red bracelet, which also is used in anime. The red thread is used a lot, but also in the Orthodox Jewish community, the red bracelet is very symbolic. So we're giving that out and it has a little charm on it. And the charm is a nod to Sarah's story. So that is kind of going to be hidden until you guys want to figure it out. But the charm that is on it is a nod to the whole season, the encompassing season of what happened. So, I'd really love for y'all to do that. We're giving out Skeleton Crew bracelets, little bracelets for that. We're giving out, I'm thinking of doing custom Skelly Converse with the LGBTQ colors, stuff like that. I definitely want to lean into everything that this is about. And to bookend that, Skelly is my passion project and it's dedicated to my grandmother. And she has dementia, but she was always just a sassy woman. She is 98 years old. In December, she will be 99. She has lived a long life. She had a second grade education. And after she raised her kids, she said, you know what? I'm going back to school. Nice. And at 35, she went back to get her GED in a small town in St. Matthews, South Carolina. And so this is dedicated to her. And I am giving proceeds. Some of the funding that we do get is going to charities for dementia and Alzheimer's, and also mental health for people of color. So I am promoting that. But for my grandmother, this is everything, because she always told me, she would tuck me in even when I was in my 20s, late 20s. She's like, I'm tucking you in. I was like, Grandma, you don't have to do that. And she's like, shut up, I know what I'm doing. She would always just be tucking me in. She's always been sassy, even when she first started having the touches of dementia, and she got COVID, which made everything progress quicker. Even when she had to deal with her physical therapist, he was like, you got to get up and walk around, Miss Purnell, and she was like, you don't have to tell me what to do. I know what I need to do, and I'm going to do it. She would just tell her therapist that. She just always has been sassy, and she is actually going to be a character at the bar. She's going to be named Pretty P, because my grandmother's name is Purnell, but we all call her Mud. And a quick story to that. We call her Mud because her mother had a lot of not abortions. Oh my God, wrong. She had miscarriages. Sorry. Woo. She had several miscarriages. And in that community, they told her, if you name your child something of the earth, your next child will live and you'll have a full-term pregnancy and everything. And so she said, I want to name my child Mud, which I know everyone's like, that sounds very weird, but it was the fact that my grandmother would grow out of the mud as a rose, and she would, grow up and jump past all the adversities put, in front of her. So we call her Mud. And she tells everybody, you ask her name, and she said, my name's Mud. That's what she's always gone by. But it is more of, she's the rose that grew out of the mud, and just her life story. The fact that she is chugging along, she is locked away in her mind. And it's very hard for me to deal with, because she's not there anymore. She is trapped in there, but I just remember her for how she was. And, my little cousin just got married, and we all had a little cry because she couldn't be there, just because of, she can't be around people, has to wear a mask and everything. And we just all knew that our grandmother would be there, and she would be saying something sassy, so this is definitely for her. But I also, it's about everyone else, like anyone else who's ever felt like they weren't enough.
I think that's definitely an advantage, like indie animation has as well, because it can be like so much more personal, and like not beholden to the whims of the studio in most cases.
Right. Yeah. People can't tell me what to do. It's indie. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, it's my cartoon.
Right. It's mine, and I can do whatever I want. And, some people do whatever they want. They get a little flack for it. My husband's like, are you ready? When you become famous, you're going to start getting some flack. And I said, I am not ready for it. I cannot handle it. It's going to make me cry. But you know what? Bring it on. Let's do it. Because you can't make everybody 100% happy all the time, But the people
your best response is just make your own stuff. Make your own cartoon.
Right. Make your own stuff. And if you can make yourself happy, and in turn you can make this one person happy, I'm just like, yeah, that's all I need. So I hope that that's interesting enough for everybody. And I really do hope that you guys, want to back Skelly. We are launching again, and this will, like I said, we've done it before. So this is actually the last go round. I've lowered the price. I'm taking a huge cut. Let's just say I'm having to do a lot of stuff on my own. I'm taking a huge cut by lowering the price. But at this point, I just want to get it out there. And I want everybody to have just a little faith in this project, and if you have just a little faith, you don't even have to donate, just share, retweet, repost.
That helps a tremendous amount.
Just getting us the traction. Like, if you could just help with that, if you, and I'm not saying you have to donate $27. I'm not even asking that. If you want to donate $1, I'll graciously, appreciate it, and some people can only do $1, and some people can't even do that. But if you can do a repost or retweet, I would appreciate it. The whole crew, the skeleton crew, would definitely appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I got one more question before we wrap this thing up. Obviously, they can find you with Skelly Animations, but are there any indie animated shows you are looking forward to or are currently a fan of?
Right now, definitely Hell of a Boss. I think that's like everybody. I'm looking for Captain Zeo.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, Captain Zero.
Zero. Is it Zero or Zeno? I always get it
Oh,
wrong.
it's Zero. Hold on.
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah,
waiting for him. Them. They just got picked up for a movie. So,
yeah.
yeah, we will be.
Looking
I've been
forward.
following him. Yeah, totally looking forward. And anything from Greyworks, definitely looking forward to anything that he put out. Most definitely. And like I tell everybody, and I think I might annoy some people, but I'm always that supporter. Like if you need a support, you need a boost, hey, I'm your girl because
Yeah.
I'm out there for everybody. And like I said, I want this to be a community where we all feel like we can be in the same space and thrive and we can help each other. Hey, Kayla, I didn't get a lot of traction on this post. What do I need to do? And I can tell you what were my pitfalls and I can tell you what I think you should do. But, I want that to be a thing. So,
Yeah.
yes, Howling Hoods.
Yeah. Yeah.
Watch
That
it.
is the huge. Watch it. Yeah.
Yes,
The
yes.
artwork, yeah. Next short will actually be uh, fully professionally animated by two dear friends of mine who have been carrying my ass the whole way. But
Hey,
again, thank you so much for joining me. You could find Skelly on Kickstarter. You could find them on Twitter, and you could also find them on. Hold on, let me bring it up.
yeah, if you go to the skellyanimation.com, that'll take you to the pre-launch page,
Yep,
which you
right
can
there.
actually sign up for the newsletter, or you can actually sign up for Kickstarter there, and it'll of course take you to the Kickstarter. So
Yeah.
everything's there if you guys want to read more about it, about
The
Skelly
cast right
and
here.
who's
Got
working on it, and it's got the cast and everything. So yeah, everybody's there. So if you want to check that out, it's there. And I appreciate you letting me come on the show and talk about Skelly.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for coming on. Again, I am Greyworks, your host as always, and today I was joined by Kayla from Skelly Animation. Thank you so much. We'll see you later, guys. Make sure to support Kayla and Skelly.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.